use it to follow the 3 people in my family, so I don't really post, but
Yes.
no shade.
I have confronted Daniel earlier about the fact that he does not follow me. And apparently I do not matter to him, and he does not love me.
As my pseudo son, yes, I will. I guess I can follow you now.
It's okay. I don't follow anyone. I follow one person. I unfollowed everybody in a weird panic, and now I follow one wellness account, and that's it. So it's fine.
Oh. Okay.
I don't blame you.
All
Okay,
right.
so I have a few traditional questions that I ask on this live. Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Okay. Question number 1. Have you listened to Doja Cat's new album?
The answer to question number 1 is yes.
Really?
Yes.
What song has stood out to you, or what song do you like from the album?
I feel like Need to Know is is the one I'm currently loving the most.
Okay, Need to Know is really good. I like Ain't Shit. Ain't Shit is really good.
That is a good one too. Yeah.
Okay, have you heard Tyler, the Creator's new album?
I have not. No. The answer
Okay.
to question number 2 is.
Okay.
Now you know.
What did you say?
Well, now you know that I wasn't prepped.
Yeah, I know. See, it's live. We'll do it live. Okay. Question number 3. Have you seen Shrek?
Yes.
Okay. Have you seen Shrek 2?
I mean, I feel like I probably did. Yes. But don't quiz me.
Okay. Have you seen Shrek 3?
I feel like I'm going to say no. But I have 2 interesting little pieces of trivia about Shrek after you ask your question.
My last question about Shrek is, did you know that Shrek won an Oscar in 2002?
I did not. I don't remember that. No.
It's that good of a movie. It won an Oscar.
For what?
For Best Animated, and it was also nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. Apparently, Zelda and I found out yesterday, Shrek is based off a book.
Did not know that.
I didn't know that. I didn't know it as well. What were you gonna say?
2 interesting pieces of trivia.
Okay.
Number 1. So, my niece, Zelda's cousin, played young Fiona on Broadway.
No way!
That same actress plays Nathan and Naomi's sister in Generation.
Tessa?
Yes, that's Tessa.
Shut up! Tessa was young Fiona on Broadway?
Yes.
That is wild.
She plays Natalia. She plays Natalia and on the show.
That is wild. Wow. I love how me asking Shrek-related questions every day on these lives has finally come full circle to end up being about the show. This is such a momentous day. I'm so happy for me and for you and for everyone who's here to witness this glorious moment. Daniel, this is my last question.
Yes, wait.
What?
No, I have a second piece of Shrek. Have you seen the thing that Zelda showed me where they... No, that was just one piece of trivia that had multiple components.
It had a season 1A and a season 1B to it.
It did. A block 1 and block 2 component. No, block 2 component to the Shrek question is also that... have you seen the one where they took the Generation cast and then put your faces on the Shrek characters?
Yes, I have.
Oh, okay. Zelda showed that to me. I loved it.
It's brilliant. I will say that I think that was because I was asking everybody on these lives if they've seen Shrek.
Oh, got it. Okay, so another.
But I don't want to give myself too much credit, but I will say that was completely 100% me.
Okay. Take the credit. You deserve it.
Okay, I'm going. My last traditional question, and it's now transitioning into do you see how efficient my lives are now because I've had so much practice? we're transitioning into talking about the show. What is your favorite non-canon ship?
What?
Oh, poor Daniel.
Wait, you're asking me to choose a favorite?
I'm asking you to choose your favorite non-canon ship. So your favorite ship that's not in the actual show.
Oh my God. I can't do that justice. I'm like, yeah, I gotta draw the line. I mean, that would be like, then I'm choosing favorites. It's like I'm Sophie's choicing my babies.
No, I'm saying no. It's like characters that will never, ever, ever, possibly ever be together.
Oh, got it. Okay, I understand. But then maybe I'm like spoiling like something that could never, ever, ever be together. Okay, so like it's gonna be I don't know. Okay, Mrs. Culpepper and Megan. All right. That one will never end up together because there's some other ones that like you don't know where they're gonna go.
Potentially, yes. When you have a bunch of gay kids just intermingling, anyone could possibly end up with anyone.
Yes.
My favorite is Riley and Delilah.
Oh.
But again, who knows? Mrs. Culpepper and Megan is hilarious, and also maybe that could happen.
You know, it's true. I mean, like she shows up at the PTA meetings. They're on the full campus together. We don't know where Megan was checking her text in episode 4. Like that could have been a locker room. Mrs. Culpepper could have been in the other stall. It's a deleted scene.
I need that like BTS DVD extra footage of Mrs. Culpepper in that extra stall. Okay. So, someone said, okay, yeah. So another tradition that I had was I would eat on the lives, and then I would ask someone like what they're eating, and then we would both eat. I haven't done that for a while. Someone just called me out in the comments, and also Zelda says hi.
Hi, Zelda. Don't judge me.
Okay. Someone says their favorite non-canon ship is Mark and Sam.
Oh.
Whoa, relax, chill with the reaction, Daniel. It's too much. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna get into asking you some of these fan questions. But first, let me just start off like saying the finale is amazing. I know I'm biased because I was a part of it, and I knew everything was gonna happen. But the way that it turned out, the final edit is phenomenal. The flow of it is incredible. Your directing is impeccable. The writing is chef's kiss. Do you want to talk a little bit about how the finale turned out, if it met your expectations, if there were things in that final edit that surprised you that you didn't know were going to work but then actually did work, or things that you thought were going to work and didn't? What were your thoughts about the finale as a whole?
Yeah, it was so fun. It was like, honestly, it did feel kind of like a big gamble just because it's a little like, unusually kind of structured and put together. And I remember when Zelda and I were writing it, there's just a lot of like, is this gonna work? Because it's just like you're in this thing, you're on this like runaway train and like with these characters and they're like interacting with each other. The thing that we really wanted to do was like stay away from that thing that you see in finales where it's like this ending, cliffhanger moment, let's cut away and then go to these people. And like, we wanted to make it all seamlessly integrated so that you would feel like you were just in that high school party. And I was so happy with how it turned out, but it also turned out, I think, like the way they did because of all of you guys. And like,
oh, stop.
It's really true. And I feel like one kind of cool little behind the scenes story thing is have you already talked about this? How we all went to the house on the weekend? Is this old news?
No. Wait, when?
Okay.
Wait, explain it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Because when we went to do the rehearsal, like in the house. Do you remember?
Yes.
And what just happened to you?
Nothing. I got distracted because I forgot to to write that there's going to be spoilers in this live, so I was doing that while you were talking, and I was also trying to act like I was paying attention.
Okay, so anyway, we all went to the house like a couple before we shot. We showed up on a weekend, and that it was kind of amazing because we were, you know, like however many, like 80 or 90 days into shooting, everybody was really exhausted, and like I asked you all to come on a weekend day after like a grueling work week to show up and rehearse the whole finale, and all of you did, and that was like an amazing moment. Like at 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning, everybody arrived. We were there for 6 hours, and we staged the entire party, like, you know, like piece by piece by piece, and then we ran it like a play. Like it was a thing. And then Laura, our DP, with her iPhone, ran around and filmed a whole rehearsal. It was a 27-minute rehearsal. Like, eat it, and you cut away to the restaurant and stuff like that. But she like ran around and followed all of you stuff, and all of you like as we were doing it. And that was, I feel like, because we were able to do that, because we were able to like rehearse it, then we could show up for those 2 weeks of shooting nights and just like dig in on the work.
I know where everyone was. Like it was like a well-oiled machine. It just operated so smoothly. We also, remember, I was like, you should do this in one shot. You should Birdman this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You didn't take the bait though, Daniel.
I didn't. You know, the thing is, it's nice to be able to like break it up a little bit. You know what I mean? And like, you know me, I like to get like lots of variety and performance and things and kind of, you know, like.
Very true.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think it wasn't like a surprising thing per se, but I am also, as you know, a pretty like emotional director. Like I get right in there. Like I feel the emotions that all the characters, and there were just multiple times after we're shooting where I would tear up or like get emotional, and you know, and then like when I was watching the first cut, which is honestly like always a brutal experience, hard to watch because there's all this stuff that you want to change and be different, but like I, you know, like I got kind of emotional during it, you know, like there were really emotional moments that hit me. So I was really
what
proud
were the
of
moments? What were the moments specifically?
I think so. One moment is, you know, when you're, sorry, spoilers.
I have it.
One
I
moment.
have it on. Yeah.
Okay, like you're sitting on the thing, and when you talk to Sam, and then you ask Sam, like, you know, you're like, I'm sorry. He says, okay, and then you go, is it? And like there was just so much pain in that moment, like. I just was like, that was one moment. And then the other thing I just have to say is, and even though we had written the stage direction in the script, even though we had shot it, even though I had watched, even that moment when like Greta walks in the door and sees Riley and then just hurls herself across the room and like wraps her arms around her, it's like, it was just like, there's something about the way that those, like the way Haley and Chase were in that moment that was so extraordinary, and the way she just like howls herself across the room, and you've just been like dying for these two people to be together, was, you know, that moment also really.
I was on set that day. I got to be on set that day, and I was watching the monitors. I forget why. I think I snuck in. I wasn't supposed to be there though, but I was watching the monitors, and every single take, I was just like, like audibly like obsessed with the moment, because the way they were playing with, like it just was what we were waiting for all season, and like it just was so perfectly executed, and like no matter how many times I saw it, it's like it was just amazing every single time, just because it was like such a needed release. You know, you just needed these characters to be intimate, to love each other.
Yeah.
So it was just like, it was so powerful. I'm really happy the way everything turned out, especially the finale. I think like the flow of the like, regardless of the fucking one shot thing, the flow is like it's exactly what you said. It makes you feel like you're actually at this party with these kids, and like, um, and I feel like it wouldn't have felt that way if it was like we're cutting to like 100 different locations, and we're like, like the one thing that I love that you guys do constantly is you put all of the characters almost claustrophobically in the same environment, and you like force them to like run around together and like interact. And it's like those are my favorite episodes, like episode 6 when we're all on the bus and in the restaurant, or episode 7 all in the motel. Like this is just like that. It's like you're just like forcing all these characters who are like coming at this one situation from like hundreds of different perspectives, and you're like just like making them like figure it out and like run around. it's sadistic.
Yeah. Especially that one, because they're like, because it was so intense. Like every character is having such an intense thing, like in that episode. You know what I mean? They're just like,
yes.
and it just like just keeps like ratcheting up, like getting even more and more and more and more. But yeah, I mean, I just like to a T, the performances in that episode are extraordinary. Like everybody is like on fire in that episode. So yeah.
Yes, and I will be talking to these other people I haven't talked to yet, and I know that some of you guys have been asking me to talk to those people, and I will be talking to those people. So wait for that. Also, Daniel, Mayhem Miller just said hi in the comments and said thank you for the shout.
No, really?
Yes.
Mayhem Miller. Wait, you're kidding. Wait, and Mayhem Miller, did you hear yourself in the episode 13? Did you hear yourself referred to?
She said, wait, hold on, I have to scroll up. She said,
in the episode,
I don't know if she's still
Chester
here.
talks
to Mayhem. What'd you say?
In episode 13, you talk about seeing Mayhem Miller.
Yes, Mayhem Miller, yeah. Mayhem says, thanks for the shout out in episode 13. I love the show, exclamation point.
Okay, I'm obsessed with you, and I loved you on Drag Race, and like, yeah.
I love you too. I love you more.
Yeah, Justice and I would get a little competitive about like, because we share like a lot of love for like RuPaul and Drag Race and stuff.
Yes.
Just came over and watched some episodes, and we'd scream at the TV together.
Yes,
we probably actually watched that season.
What season did we watch together?
I don't know. This is when I need Zelda because she'll. Yeah.
Are you watching All Star 6?
I haven't started yet. No.
Okay. Did you end up actually watching season 13 though, or did you? Because you were so busy during shooting.
Yeah, but that was like then we finished shooting, and then like I like totally binged it, and I was so I thought that was incredible, and I was so happy for Simone. I just thought that
was
amazing. You know, she's really close with Gigi Good, who's like and yeah, and Gigi is also in the show and fucking incredible, and hosts our podcast and stuff, and like I'm obsessed with her. But then it's like just the world kept getting smaller in this like RuPaul-y Drag Race way that made me so happy.
We love that. I hope if Riley continues to work at Hamburger Mary's in season 2, we might be able to see more drag queens. No?
I think we should. I mean, I feel like we need to do.
Okay, cool.
Are you gonna down into?
What do you say?
I just realized that like I do have to be careful because I don't want to like make promises about season 2.
Okay, we will not. Okay, so anything said about season 2 in this live is completely is temporary. It is not actually what's going to happen in season 2. If we talk about like potential things that could happen, there's no promises.
Okay. No promises.
Okay. All right. Let's. I'm going to ask you some fan questions now. Was it difficult to pitch such a queer show to producer / HBO?
It was not difficult. The answer is it was not difficult, no, but, and forgive me, like, if you've heard this story before, when Zelda first had this idea and we were talking about it, and Ben and like as our family and stuff, we were like, this would make an incredible world for a TV show. Like, these characters are amazing and they need to be on screen, and like people need to see them and see themselves in them. But like, it's really hard ever to get any show made ever. They're all just, it's just like, they're all hard. And so this one is particularly, right? It's really independent. It's about like queer kids of color in Anaheim. Like, it's not like CSI Bonanza written all over it. So when we started working on the TV show with Zelda, it was more just like Ben and I were like, what an amazing way to show our daughter like how you even begin to think about a TV show, like how you come up with a pitch and construct it and conceive it and like and everything. So that was, so we had very like humble aspirations. We were just like, it's cool like that we get to do this with our daughter. And even up to the moment when we walked into like the HBO room, like it's not like I wasn't hopeful, but I wasn't like certain that this would be a show that would end up like aired on TV. So it was like just amazing kind of like dream. And I think everybody was really happy that the show was and is as queer as it is.
And we also have to shout out HBO Max because they actually have a lot of queer content. They really like set a precedent for like greenlighting queer shows and like helping people get represented and see themselves and taking risks and all that beautiful stuff. And I feel like it's like our show is like has the perfect home there.
Yeah, they're quite beautiful that way.
Would you like to add characters? Would you like to add more characters on the spectrum, like non-binary?
Yes, 100%. That I will confirm would be like a season 2 priority.
Love that. Why did Chester? This is a question that we've talked about, Daniel. Why did Chester encourage Riley? No, I think the question is written wrong. Why did Chester encourage Greta and Luce to get down when he knew Riley liked Greta?
What was your answer to that question?
No.
I think that I think Chester is.
I actually do have an answer to this question.
Yeah,
but you go first.
Okay, so I think he's a good friend to both of them. I think, and sometimes it's hard, right? It's hard to sometimes be friends with two people when they are also like having romantic like interests and problems with each other, and sometimes figuring out how to navigate that, how supportive of each person, you know, while not necessarily advancing your own can be hard. And so Chester comes from a real place of love for both characters. And I think he like is looking at Riley and he's like, I think you would be happy with Greta in a lot of ways. And that's why he's kind of like pushing there. But I think he also knows that, you know, there's complications there. And so he wants Greta to have happiness too. So
exactly.
It comes from love for both characters.
I think that's exactly my answer too. I think in that moment, Chester picks up on the connection that Greta is having with Luce, and being a good friend, he just wants her to be happy regardless, like happy and in love. You know, Chester has this idealized, romanticized idea of love as well, love and romance and connection and affection. So he just sees an opportunity and he's like, oh, this will make you happy. Like, yeah, fucking go for it, you know? But before that, all he's seeing is the prospect of Riley and Greta being together until he notices that Greta has other prospects. Yeah. Greta has suitors.
Chester is definitely in love with being in love.
Yes, Chester's in love with love.
And he's true for other people as well. But yeah, one of my favorite really subtle moments is in that scene in episode 5 when the magical sleepover is unfolding, and then Riley has that moment where she's like, are you guys going to sleep over? And you just kind of look at them and just you're like, I can advance this, and like I advance this by getting onto the floor, and it's just this like, if you're not looking at you, like if you're looking at Greta and Riley, you miss it, but when you are looking at you, it's just like the perfect.
We love the nuance. Okay, what character would you say you related to the most when you were a teen?
Related to, God, that's interesting. I mean, it's a hard question for me to answer because I truly like see myself in all of these characters in different ways, you know. But a lot of times it's like it's a little bit of wish fulfillment, you know. Like I see the kind of like boldness with the like Chester walks through life, and I'm like, fuck, like I wish I could be that, you know, person. But and I think, you know, like Nathan, like super neurotic and kind of a mess. I think there's probably was a lot of me. Maybe I did leave like epic voicemails, but like, yeah, I probably tripped over myself a lot. I think that like Riley's like kind of, you know, lonerness and stuff like that. Like I think that I identified and admired, hated. I think Greta, like Greta's such, you know, is so interesting because I feel like she is in some ways like, this is gonna sound like a diss, but it's not gonna be. It's like she's the least polished verbally of all the characters. Like she's constantly stumbling. By the way, so fun to write. But she's also in some ways like the most emotionally expressive of all of the characters too. Like she's just, it's just all out there right at front. And so, and I feel like there's also a little bit. So sorry for the like annoying non-answer. It's just like,
I honestly I feel like that gave us a lot of insight. I loved that explanation of Greta. I just think that's like so spot on. You know, like these are things that we've picked up, but like not, you know, we're not obviously not in the writer's room, so we can't hear how you guys craft these characters. It's hearing you actually put someone who is so nuanced and so layered into like a blurb like that is like powerful. I don't know. Just to hear the thing that you set out to achieve with Greta is like, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what she is. But I would have never been able to say that because it's like, oh, you know, it's awesome to hear.
Well,
I
and
think
that's
it just
what
speaks to your talent.
also like, again, just to turn the compliment like around. It also comes from getting to work with y'all because of what you can do with the language, and then you start to realize that like all those and ellipses and stumbling and stammer that we put for Haley, she can do, whereas like you can write like a paragraph of, like quoting like RuPaul and Kafka that like, but you manage to figure out how to make it all seem so natural and organic, and like that's a gift, you know. Start to write for actors who are as gifted.
I love that. It's a symbiotic relationship. That was me just flexing my biology knowledge. Symbiotic is when the birds and the tree work together to live in the ecosystem. Okay, is that not what symbiotic relationships are?
Yeah. I always think it's symbiotic a little bit more like it's like a negative kind of a thing, you know, as opposed to like, but I might just be an idiot and like not.
Wait, how is it negative? It's how both organisms thrive.
Like people like feeding off of each other in like a more of like a negative way as opposed to like gaining and stuff like that. But I don't know, maybe it's just
symbiotic relationship is when like the birds and the bees and the trees and the grass and everything works together so that everything can thrive and live.
See,
right?
I want to live in your mind.
You're thinking of codependency.
Maybe. I might also be thinking of parasites.
Oh, you're thinking of parasitic relationships, yeah. Yeah,
somebody just wrote that.
Everyone in the comments is saying, I think
Daniel
is talking more about parasitic relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, that is correct. My apologies.
Yeah, how dare you. So this question says, when do we get bloopers and deleted scenes? Everyone is really interested in this Jay and Greta scene that was cut. And I also am interested in it.
Yeah. I don't know actually when they're releasing that content. And I will say that just because I know this has come up before, and there's been some questions about that, like a couple of those scenes were cut in episode 8 because Greta's storyline changed a little bit in that episode. So, and it changed after we had shot it. So unfortunately, like she's talking about stuff with Jay in that episode about her mom, like didn't end up happening in that episode. So that's partly why that wasn't timing. Sometimes episodes scenes do have to be cut in order for us to get to a time limit. In some cases, it was like that one was different, but that's too bad because Sid's performance in that episode is great, as it is in all of the episodes, and that friendship, like that Greta Jay friendship, is really cool. I love the moment, like in the finale, when she's just sitting with him and they're on the
I
chaise
love that
lounges,
moment. Yes.
and like, and then Luke. And you know what I'm talking about? And Luce comes up and then she's like, "What's up?" And like, and then kind of makes a joke about the chocolates, and then like, and then Jay just kind of like exhales this big cloud after her. It's great.
Someone has said, "Is Greta getting high with Jay?"
I probably should be careful to ask you this, but were you happy about the TED Talk moment and how that came out in the edit? Because I love that moment too.
Oh, so happy! I thought it was great. I was really happy with it. I think I was telling Zelda this, like I love getting to play like characters who are in like specific states, like because it makes it really like it makes my job easier. It's like Chester is getting fucked up to mask pain. Like that's something I can like play so specifically. So like there was so many different ways I could do that. So I kind of blacked out during that monologue, and then actually seeing what I did and seeing how it flowed in the story, I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah, it's cool. I loved it.
Yeah, I really liked it. Someone said, is Greta getting high with Jay in that scene where they're sitting together?
I don't think that Greta was, I don't think she was getting high in that one. I think she was sitting with Jay while he was smoking. But, she does. I mean, we saw like in episode 3, she gets introduced to it.
And she smokes weed with Ariana in the bathroom. And
smokes weed in 13. So she's definitely doing it. But I feel like in that moment, I don't know. I'd be curious to ask Kelly if she ever in any of the takes was like, you know, was doing it. But my impression is that for her character, that she wasn't like in a, I want to like get high mode, but like, I kind of want to get through this party thing because I'm not that comfortable being here.
Right. I agree. Okay. What do you think makes Generation stand out from so many other shows?
I feel like, first of all, I want to acknowledge the compliment behind that question, which I'm like very touched by. That I think it's really nice. I think so. I think one thing is we had a real advantage of team creator, and I think that wait, what happened?
No, I agree.
Oh, I think so. I think that like that helped us set our priorities straight, because I think one thing is Zelda was just like this North Star for me and for all the right boys about making sure that we told stories that are heightened and entertaining, but also feel real in some ways, and feel and I think like when you're working on a teen show, a lot of pressure to like have a lot of drama, romance, and stuff like that. And I think one thing that Zelda noticed about her life, not true, like it's not like a teen show. It's that, like, a lot of times kids are just like doing other stuff. They're living their lives. They're like going on. They're just like bored, or they're doing homework, or they're being silly, or they're laughing. It's not like always like they're focused on romance and so, and it's interesting because as you're writing the show, you're like that and make sure that you're not letting story overtake the character, and that sometimes the characters can just be, in those spaces. And I think that like the fact that we had a teen creator with us all the time who's like constantly pushing us towards that. Also just like emphasizing yeah, okay, like sometimes the friendships aren't going to have the most drama. It's really nice as a team to see like friends hanging out with each other and being with each other. Like that is so meaningful. So I think my son just posted a comment.
Yes, I saw that as well.
Hi, Dash.
So Dash is here. Dash is Zelda's brother and Daniel's son. There are people in the comments making very lewd remarks about you and your husband Ben Barnz, and Dash is coming to your defense. So that's what I'll leave it at that.
Like how closely they tell Ariana's ads.
What? Wait,
Um,
yes, that's exactly right. Yes,
yes.
yes,
I just
exactly.
want to say that, like, it's not a documentary, okay?
Ben Barnes says Ben Barnes is hot.
By the way, I concur. Ben Barnz, you are hot.
Wait, is this actual? Is that Ben? Why is Ben's photo weird? I don't know if that's Ben, Daniel. I
Well,
think there's another person who has Ben Barnes' name.
my husband is hot, and we have no third, so you heard it here first.
Okay, and you are looking.
But we are looking. Yes.
Okay. When writing Generation, did you know each character's storyline / background, or did it come along the more you wrote the scripts?
The answer is a kind of a little bit of both. I mean, we spent a lot of time in the beginning talking about the characters and who they were, and before we even began like writing scripts or breaking story, we're going to go through them all. We talked about each character and just like tried to fill them out as people. Like what do they like? Like what we spent a lot of time talking about their astrology signs. I know you had this,
Yes.
but that's also a great way to like identify who a person is. Like how much are they like or not like their signs. So we talked about that. Like what things do they just like to do? Like who are they as people separate from their stories? And so I find that the best stories are like that come out of character experiences as opposed to like story dictating what the characters should do. So we began there, and then um, uh, and then things like kind of evolved and changed, as we were doing it. And again, we had the benefit of being able to make a pilot, meet all of you as people, and then go away and write the rest of the. And then so it was like
Yes.
you're in our head, and that's great.
Honestly, COVID really kind of worked in our favor. I mean, COVID was terrible, but it really kind of, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I just was like looking at the headline, like Justice Smith said COVID was great for our show. And I'm like,
That's
I
what I
don't
was
want to
thinking.
step in.
So you heard it. Daniel said here, COVID was great for our show. um, also the comments, Daniel, your son is being wild in the comments.
Dash. I don't even know what Dash is saying. But I want to say, here's what I do want to say about COVID was it was really, one thing was it was hard to shoot during COVID. But I felt, and I'm curious how you felt about this, Justice, like I do think it created a different feeling than I've encountered on my sets before, where I think people were, yes, like sometimes frustrated because the protocols were intense and you tested and the masks and all this stuff. But I also felt like it made people like, because people were aware of how many like people were out of work and how many like films and television shows couldn't be made, actually created like a sense of like gratitude. Like people were like, oh, we are lucky to like show up and do this like in the world. And I think that was something that only came out of shooting during COVID.
I feel that too. I mean, we were one of the shows were dropping like flies. Like productions were getting shut down left and right, and we had such a solid COVID team they were so intense. and they made sure that we were masked up every second. They would say action, and we would take the mask off, and they say cut, and we put the mask back on and step out and air out and disinfect all the props. Like it was intense protocol, but it was the reason why we shot for as long as we did, you know, and why we were like one of the last ones standing.
Yeah.
And it created, like you said, I think a sense of gratitude. It also created a level of efficiency because I think because there was all of those obstacles, we had to like really overcompensate in a good way, like overcompensate our productivity. And I also feel like it weirdly brought us closer together because I think I think it's that same psychology of like when you're told not to do something, like all you want to do is do it. So it's like just like keeping the cast apart, like keeping the crew, like keeping everyone distanced and apart, made everyone be like, I want to be close to you. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, when the show ended, I felt like we were like really like we were yearning to like really be like close together and both energetically and literally.
Totally. But also, don't you feel like you and the cast members felt safe with each other because you were being tested so regularly and so safe? The thing that was interesting is I felt like everybody in the cast was so passionate about being the person who was going to catch COVID to everybody else. It made everybody so extra responsible and like,
Yeah.
you know, and then kind of, yeah. But
and to that same point, it also was like, because we weren't allowed to see any other people, moreover, because we didn't want to be the person to give everyone COVID, it was like, these were our only friends. Like, these were our only family at the time. Like, these were the only people who really existed. And so I feel like it also bonded the cast even more because it was like, just by nature of like, I'm not seeing anyone else.
Yeah.
All I'm seeing is you.
And we've talked about that before, but like, I think just the level of connectedness and bondedness among this cast was like just something beautiful to watch. Like just the way that you guys came as a family and like the degree of like supportiveness and generosity, like true generosity among all of you. Like just, yeah.
I was talking about this with Nathania. I really think something that's so beautiful about our show is that in the moments where the characters are bonding with one another, it's real. Like that scene with me and Chase at the end of 14 with that hug. Like I've said this to Chase, I'm like, that's not even us acting. Like that's just us like actually hugging and like loving each other. And like I was saying to Nathania, like all the scenes with DNA, like them in episode 7 in the hotel, like dancing around and smoking weed and jumping, and in episode 12 where like with the vibrator, like it feels so real because it's like these are actual friends. Like it's not actors like coming together and pretending to be friends. Like we created this bond that's like palpable to see, you know.
And it also allowed you to be like just expose yourselves to each other, be like vulnerable with each other, and you know,
yeah,
like those bedroom scenes with you and Nathan. Like I just feel like they were, you know, that because you and Yuli had that degree of trust with each other. Like I don't think those scenes could have turned out as extraordinarily if you had.
Yeah, I mean that's, you know, that's like obviously you're talking about the scene in episode 16.
Yes.
Yeah, like that's a very vulnerable thing to do. And I remember when Daniel asked me to do it, I was like, oh, okay. I remember the call. I was like, I guess I'm gonna start working out. But I like when we actually shot it. It was the most I've actually was like. There's other scenes I can recall that were actually like I felt more vulnerable in and was like less comfortable in than that scene where I actually was like exposing everything. And I think it was because I had such a bond with you. I had such a bond with the crew. It was literally like the boom operator, Eduardo, our cameraman at the time, and Yuli in this bedroom. And I was like, these are all people that I trust. Like, there's no like I there was no shed of insecurity, and like I was able to just kind of perform. I even remember like there was a moment where you were talking about like I'm really happy with the way the scene turned out, but I remember you were talking about like trying to get like Chester's vulnerability a little more, and so like me taking a shower beforehand and being colder, and I remember thinking like it's because I'm really comfortable right now. I'm like actually surprisingly comfortable, and I really thought I was gonna be so scared and vulnerable, but I'm like, and I was like trying to work with you and like how can you make me more uncomfortable in this moment, more vulnerable in this moment, which worked out in the end. But yeah, it was a really interesting discovery in the moment.
It was very brave of you.
Thank you. I also realized I was like, I'm not getting any younger, and this is probably the best I'm gonna look ever. So I just might as well just show everything, and then I don't want to be like in my 50s, 60s, and be like, damn, like I had the opportunity to just like be like, this is what I look like, and I didn't take it. So I'm happy I did it. Okay, I can't ask that. Whose point of view did you enjoy creating the most? And also, second part of this question, whose character was the hardest to write?
Okay. All right, this is both great questions. I feel like so the thing about the point of view is it was more than anything, it felt like a gift to be able to like step into these characters' worlds and see it through their eyes. So there were challenges, and there were challenges in that like it's hard because in traditional storytelling, like you can be more objective. You can feel the characters themselves and we were so strict about it. In our points of view, when it has like name card of the thing, we don't shoot stuff that the characters can't see, feel. And so that's challenging. And it came up a lot in the writer's room because it's hard to write, sometimes you want to be able to side and like have somebody else comment, and we just wanted to kind of stay in. So it wasn't like any one particular point of view was harder to write than the other. It was just like they're all hard to write because you can only be in that person's thing.
I love that.
What was, I will say, interesting, and so the obvious answer I think is Megan, because I think Megan is like the character that you're like, this is hard, right? None of the people involved in this show really subscribe to the way that Megan thinks about the world. But I have to say, for myself personally, I was really able to tap into like her love for her children and understand the way that she walks through the world because of that. And that even though I think she makes really messed up decisions, she is doing it because she loves her son, because she's afraid her son is going to go to hell, and like that's the thing. So that's messed up. Like I'm not condoning saying good, but I'm saying like I do understand, like as a parent, your need for your child to like for your child's happiness is so extraordinary, and sometimes it can make you do misguided things. Again, I want to be very careful. Well, that's obvious. I mean, I'm fucking.
You heard Daniel Barnz say here that he thinks that little gay boys are going to hell.
Oh yeah, thank you, and COVID. This is good. This is I've done really well in my first Instagram live.
You're bombing, Daniel.
One other perspective I have to say that was really fun to get into was Mark, and the reason it was fun is because it was so unexpected. Like, so we had written 14 of the scripts basically before we started shooting, and we were working them as we were shooting. But the last 2 episodes, one we were working on as we were kind of shooting, they came a little bit later, and they were tough ones to crack, the last 2, because there's a lot of stuff that's happening in them. And I remember that moment when we were like, wait a second, what if in this episode we go into Mark's point of view? And when you think about it, like Mark in the pilot, it's like you blink and he's gone. I mean, he is like in the background. He is like, which in a way we hated, because Sam Trammell, who plays Mark, is like the most amazing human being and the most gifted actor. Like, he's an extraordinary person, and was just so giving and generous throughout. So it was really fun to be able to get to a point wait a second, this character that was like out of focus in the background, like let's see what it looks like through his eyes, and that we have a show that can let you take that kind of weird in like the 15th episode. That was
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful episode, and I love the choice to make his character so it's just like pure, like and loves his kids so much, and like really just wants to get to know him, and like wants to be that support system that I think Nathan actually needs, but doesn't feel like it's his place or doesn't know how to navigate that. And like it's something that, I mean, I don't know if I don't know. I personally haven't seen it done in that way, and I think it's just like it's another one of those moments in television history where you're like, ugh, I wish my dad was like that, or my parent was like that, or my guardian was like that, you know. Same with like the episode 12 when Jay and Patrick, they don't talk to Ariana, but they just come in and sit down with the ice cream bowls. It's such a pure moment. Is that something that really happened? Like, did you do that, or is that just made up completely?
It is not made up completely, but so the actual little like doing the ice cream thing was like that wasn't, but the scene up until that one that we talked about with in the writing room, and Max wrote the episode, we kind of like really talked to him a lot about this moment. As that scene, the first part of that scene is like something that all teenagers experience, right? You're upset about something, parents walk in, they want to talk to you, you don't want to talk to them, you know, and like you can see it from both sides. I think I did have said something to Zelda, like I remember like at one point, like I remember walking to a room, she's like upset about something, and she's like go away or whatever, and I was like, you know what? Can you talk to me like a human? I probably did say something. He said, but the second but the second part of that was more just like, this is what I learned from those things, that like in those moments it's not actually a good thing to try to force a conversation with your kids about like, tell me, because they don't want it. But like you have to show them that you are there for them. Like you just sit there in a way, and so and that was what I have learned as a parent, that I really wanted to make sure we got like conveyed at scene.
It's a beautiful blueprint, I think, also for other parents.
Cool.
It's such a good moment. Ugh, I love it so much. Okay, I'm looking for another question. How did you choose which songs to use, and are you a Barb? Now, Daniel, be very careful about the next words that you use.
Justin.
Daniel, are you a Barb, aka a Nicki Minaj fan?
Sidestep. I want to sidestep. I don't know what I'm stepping into. I'm just gonna answer the part about the.
You just need to say yes, Daniel. That's all you need to do.
Yes.
Okay, good.
So we have extraordinary music supervisors, Maggie and Andrew. They work on our show, and like it's the most collaborative thing. And choosing music, as you can imagine from the show, is not easy. It's like, first of all, score in our show, and that was again partly just because we were always like really wanting to feel like we're in these characters' point of view, so we didn't want to like have imposed score on the show to like, oh, here's Chester's feeling sad, like let's bring in score to do it. We wanted all of the stuff to come out of the things, that they're songs that the characters are actually listening to, and then sometimes they play a little bit like score, but that they all were kind of in it. So we have a lot of songs per episode. We really wanted those songs. Like we wanted to make sure that also the behind the scenes stuff with those songs, that we were really supporting like new upcoming LGBTQ plus artists, and finding those songs that we could like, that they could then be put in this. And some of like the most amazing tweets that come through are people whose like song got put into the show, and they're like so excited, you know, because like they're like this young queer person who's, thing is in it, and that was like through the work that Maggie and Andrew do, and and there are a couple like of other things that my a couple other songs that I pitched that like were trash. In fact, you told me some of my songs were trash.
Did I use those exact words, Daniel?
You kind of did. But I just remember like trying to like I was pick some music to like try to get you guys like on the party bus like to dance, and you were like, "This is trash. This song is ass." Like, no. But
I do remember that.
Other songs, like this is when I love fucking algorithms, because like somehow on my Spotify playlist it led me to that song that we use when you're when in 116 when Nathan drives away and then we're with you and you're climbing the sky.
Yes.
Like that song just came on a playlist of mine, and I was like, that song is amazing. So and then I went to Maggie and we use this song and stuff like that. So I'm glad you liked it.
That's awesome. I also read that article that they did about the music in the show. I thought it was really interesting about how they really didn't want it to feel like they wanted it to feel like a high schooler's playlist, and they didn't want it to feel like a 40-year-old's idea of what a high schooler's playlist is. And so they did a lot of like research, like asking their like nieces and like their like younger cousins and like all this kind of stuff to try to like really get that Gen Z feel.
And that's also great to have Zelda and Dad around. Like I constantly I play them music. I'd be like, is it something you guys should like listen to, or like, yes, absolutely not. Like, no, go away.
Yeah. And I think what it does beautifully too is it feels like a high schooler's taste of music, but without like just being like all of the pop hits, like, which I feel like is what somebody who is just kind of who's like being a tourist in that field would do, is just like pick all of the pop hits or like pick all of the like trending songs on TikTok or whatever. And like I feel like you guys really get into the nuance of it. Like it's like contemporary music, but then also like the exact kind of like oldies songs that like kids are listening to nowadays, or like early 2000s pop, like Lucky by Britney Spears, I feel like is like so good and is like exactly like I feel like what Chester would be listening to. It's great.
Yeah.
Props to you.
I bet they work hard. They're great.
Okay, I'm asking another question. Let me see. What made you choose the actors for their characters? Okay, so I know there's a lot of characters and a lot of actors. So I'm going to say an actor, and then you're going to say in a couple sentences on why you chose them specifically for their character. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, Haley Sanchez.
That was a no-brainer. Haley walked into the room and was like she just, she is, and I think I heard you say too, like you feel like you're just watching a real person. Like it's
yes.
Which is, by the way, no, because her acting, like she put a ton of work into it, and you give her a note, and you're like, and she can adjust it to anything. But there's also a way that like it's like she's incapable of false notes, and
yes.
She walked in. She looks so real. Like some people come into the thing and it's all like super made up. Do you know what I mean? A body of like like Pilates for like kids or whatever. That's major, And Zelda was sitting right next to me in the casting thing, along with our amazing casting director Karma Kuba. But like and like and Zelda was a great eye too. Because, sometimes you'd be like, that person's really talented. She'd be like, that person is talented, but they don't seem like a teenager. Like,
right.
Adi doesn't look like a teenager, or they're like, they just seem too confident, And
right.
My God, Haley, like, walked in. She did not seem, like, too confident. You know what I mean? Like, she just seemed, And she just was like, but so real. Like, I was like, it was, sometimes when they talk about that moment when the person walks in and you're like, that is the person, that was.
Yes. Okay, Chase Three Wonders.
Oh my God. Okay, so Chase, so this was a role, and she's talked about this too. We had a lot of trouble casting. It was, and like we knew that we wanted the character to be of color, like but like we were emotional vulnerability, but also like have that sort of badass, like kind of, you know, angsty sort of exterior, you know, and
Yes.
and then like, and I remember, so she sent in her self tape, and like it came in on a Saturday, and we were gonna do like callbacks on a Sunday, and I like called Carmen. I'm like, can we please just get her in immediately, because like this person is A, perfect for the role, and B, a star, like no question, like, and I need her in the show right now. I haven't even like worked with her yet, and then I, you know, and then yeah,
She's
but
incredible. Okay. That's it.
are you not gonna ask about yourself?
Okay. No. I'm gonna keep at. I'm gonna keep going. I'm just gonna do the main 7. Okay.
Something about you though. I'm interrupting you now.
What? What did you say?
I want to say something about you.
Well, we'll get to me. Let's talk about the other cast members first. Okay. Nathania Alexander.
Oh my God. So here, I'm going to be really candid and say, this was like where you make a great choice and then you also have an incredible, because, so Nathania came because most of the sides for Ariana were her earlier, really comedic stuff. And Nathania's like, her comedic timing is like,
It's
like otherworldly. It's like
yes.
happens, it takes over, and you've never seen anything like it. It's
Yes.
just like, it's not exactly how you imagined it, and it's just like 100 times better. Say stuff, and it's just so fucking funny and like weird, you know. And that was the thing, is like we wanted the character to like be a little weird for humor. So we were like, that's a no-brainer. What we didn't know about Nathania when we cast her was what an incredible dramatic was. And when we started to see the signs of that in the episode, that actually did change writing for future episodes, because we were like, oh my God, like what can do, that vulnerability is like so good. I think she's like she breaks hearts, man. She breaks my heart. So that was like,
she does.
Cast the right person, but like also there's just so much luck because you didn't know the whole range.
Yes.
This is fun.
Yuli Schlesinger, who plays Nathan.
Yeah, I mean Yuli. Yeah, I love Yuli. I realized I was gonna say something that like he was gonna get like all like annoyed by, but I don't think he should. Like, so he has like a little resemblance to the Culkin brothers, you know, like. You're watching. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I think it's like his lips and his smile and something like that. So, but it's funny because then you see that face and you're like, wait a second, like, oh, it's like this person has like absolute star quality to them, you know. But what Yuli auditioned with a version of the, you know, speech that he gives on the boat, you know, when he gets high, kind of accidentally comes out, and that one was an example where like seeing somebody and you're like, can they nail the comedy, and then you know, can they, and then can you see the like the pathos and the emotion underneath? And you could, and remember this was interesting because in the audition, I would ask the actors, I'd say, okay, now I want you to imagine like you're at like a bar mitzvah. Do you remember like the bar mitzvah speeches that people would give, and they're like reading off their phone, and it's like all monotone, and they're like this, and like so, and I gave the actors that note, and I gave Yuli that note, and he was so genius. Got it immediately, and was like, I was like, oh, transported to back to like all those like crazy like 13-year-old parties and stuff like that. So
that is so funny. I didn't even know that. That's hilarious. Okay. Lukira Maxwell, who plays Delilah.
Yeah, we wanted her from the get-go. I mean, it was interesting because Lupita in real life has this like other level of just sort of like coolness to her. Like she's like, first of all, it's like she can do everything. It's like she can sing, she can surf, she can act, she can like, it's like there is.
She has a magazine.
What?
She has a magazine.
Yeah, she literally, there's like, what part of the world is she not gonna conquer? Like she's gonna do it all.
Yeah.
get that feeling, you know, like when she comes in and she was reading, and again, she had sort of limited portion because she was reading the stuff that Delilah was doing in the pilot, which is basically when she's going off on the teacher, you know, and it was like trying to find that person who could nail the comedy of that was like part of it, but then just seeing this whole level of kind of like worldliness. And, you know, as Lukita has often told, she did not know she was also being cast as the girl, you know, who like gives birth in the bathroom. So that was, you know, but we knew that. So we were like, does she have these other underneath like the comedy as well?
Mm-hmm. I remember Lukita at the read-through, that very first read-through we did, she starts the episode with, like, her screaming. And you guys were like, okay, Lukita's just going to read the part of the girl in the bathroom because we don't know who it is yet. And I remember being like, and she just starts giving birth at the read-through, just having met all of it. Like, we just met. And I remember, one, being like, oh, this show's going to be amazing. And two, being like, this girl, this was even her part. And, like, she is killing it. Like she's just filling in and she's like destroying it, and which means good. I don't know if you understand the slang of the days, but
oh.
Okay, moving on. Sydney Diaz, who plays Jay.
Yeah, I remember his self-tape so vividly. Again, a tricky role to cast because he's, you know, he doesn't have a ton to do in the pilot, but he has to have like a whole presence to him and kind of like a history. And we knew that we wanted this character to be like kind of a stoner philosopher kind of guy who would be sort of like, you know, funny. So I think we actually ended up creating additional sides for him as well to kind of read and so good and so versatile. What I do in my auditions is I try to throw some wrenches, you know. I try to like throw that are like against what the actor thinks they're gonna have to do in the audition, just to see if they can shake it up. And it's amazing. So,
Chloe East, who plays Naomi.
Yeah. Yeah, I also remember, it's so funny because you see all the self-tapes all kind of come back. She was wearing like this beanie in her self-tape. It interesting about Naomi was like, it was hard for a lot of actors to get that comedy. Do you know what I mean? But the thing is, she's so committed because she was doing the scenes where she's like in the mall and yelling at a security guard and like that stuff like that. And the key to it is to be like so dead on, like committed and serious. And that's what Chloe got. And then she walks in and again, you're like, wait a second, you kind of are Naomi, you know, like you are. I needed you. Like, let's forget about the audition. Like, let's just talk because I think you're going to tell me some things about this role.
That's so funny. Did I get everyone?
It's funny you didn't get to yourself.
I was saving myself for last because you saved the best for last. But did I get everyone else? Haley, Chase, Yuli, Netanya, Sid, Chloe.
Yeah, Ariana. No, yeah.
There's 7 of us, right?
Martha, you know, yeah.
Adults don't count. Adults don't count.
But here's what I want to say about you.
Okay.
Because I think this part of the story doesn't get told a lot. Which is, I feel like, because I think you also appear so effortlessly Chester. Like, I think people watch and they feel like they are just seeing you on screen. And I think that, like, and a lot of people obviously do know you from other, like, film stuff that you've done before. And shows, but I think a lot of people are like, well, you knew. They're just like, oh, Justice isn't acting. And that is the thing that I always am like correcting on the record, because I feel like when you look at what you had done before this show, it was so different. You know, like it was, you had never, you like, you never had a performance like this at all. And that's because you also like put an enormous amount of work into like what you do as an actor. And I just want to say it publicly because I feel like there's a sense, because you look so effortless and like it make it look so effortless that you just are Chester. Whereas like I know from like having worked with you and served you is that like you, like I just still remember this screenshot that you sent me in person. And you're like, this is where I am right now. And there's a picture of all of these like notebooks and screens and laptops and like notes and scripts of like as you were putting the pieces together. And you know, when you came in and auditioned, it was like you had the emotional truth of the character from the beginning, from the get go. And I've said this before on in other interviews. Like I cried when you did your scene. It was a version of the lockdown. But somebody wrote, "Justice is overwhelmed with all these comments." Are you?
I saw that too.
But you had the emotional truth. But the thing is like all the other parts of the character, like the physicality, the the vocal thing that like you craft as your work as an actor, you make look like you're just seeing this person on camera. And I really have to just like say I think you're just such a gifted actor. Like you really are, and the work that you put into like constructing and crafting this is just extraordinary. So.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. That makes me really happy. And your check is in the mail.
Ouch. Late.
I really appreciate that. You know how much I love you, and I really cannot wait to start shooting season 2. Knock on wood, if that happens, when that happens. I know you're really superstitious about me saying, wishing it into existence.
It's an interesting thing, though, right? Superstitious versus like manifest, but yes. Like you manifest what you want, but then you don't want to be like, I am a little superstitious about it, but I don't know. I just I think feel so like really truly just like so lucky to be able to be a part of like this show and stuff. And then sometimes like Ben or Zelda will, because I'm not really I don't have any social media, and they'll like read me something that somebody has like DM'd or tweeted that like just like it makes me like my heart sing. I feel so happy that like we got to be a part of the thing, that like makes something feel like seen or like touched or like they told me this amazing thing about this like this parent. Like I watched it with my kids, and now we're starting to talk about things that like we didn't talk about beforehand. Like stuff like that makes me so happy.
Me too. I've been screenshotting all of these like DMs I get of like people just confiding about how much the show has meant to them and how much Chester has meant to them, and it really warms my heart. I mean, like I've said this from the beginning of when we started press. Like that was the goal, right? Like the goal was to represent these kids and like represent our community, and it's like getting that affirmation that we're doing that is like. It's just so, it's like a breath of fresh air. It's everything. Okay, we're going to do 2 more questions. I know that last question was quite a long answer, but I'm sure all of the cast is going to be very happy to watch this back and see all the nice things that you said about them.
Can they watch it?
I don't know. Honestly, some people, I don't ever save these lives because I don't know how. But some people record these lives and then like will like do clips.
Oh.
So who knows? Maybe they'll take a clip of you saying that you think that all gay people should go to hell. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh man.
Okay. What's been one of your favorite things learned from having worked on this project about the queer youth of today and Gen Z as a whole?
Oh God, thank you for this question. Okay, so one thing is like this just personally has like also just been like a gift because it gets to be able to like live with these characters and stuff, and then like like write, direct, like just be in this world is like incredibly inspiring. And I'm going to be more specific about it because it's a really good question. But I feel like one thing is about what I see in Gen Z is like this kind of like boldness, like this fearlessness, especially with the way that a lot of queer Gen Z youth like walk through the world, you know. And I just always flash to that thing, like what I like that moment, like when you're just walking through the schoolyard in the pilot, you know what I mean? For me, it's like that is so emblematic of just like how so many people are walking through the world in a way that like is that is amazing. So that's one thing. Okay. The other thing is like openness about talking about sexuality and mental health, by the way. Like that's another thing too. It just feels like these were things when I was going, like there's so much more secrecy and shame. Like people didn't talk about it like at all, but now people will just like matter of factly be like, oh yeah, I had to go off this medication, or like, yeah, I got diagnosed with this. Like
Yeah.
it's so fucking refreshing, and I'm so happy. Like I just wish that honesty was like always there. That's the other thing. And then also I feel like great about like what's great about some people in Gen Z is like there's a like an ownership of identity without it becoming this like fixed thing. And what I mean by that is like I feel like people can like say like I identify as this, right? And it can be super specific, and it can be like, you know, aromantic or ace or demigender or whatever the thing is, right? And like and it is their truth, right? Because they're speaking their truth, but it's also not the thing that has to define them for the rest of their life either. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's also refreshing because like, you know, again, for me, it was like the moment you said like I'm gay or whatever, it was just like that was it. That was your label. That was your box. You were moved in. Like that was your thing. And I feel like now there's like a real ability to like to understand that like identity is like a moving thing, you know, and
Right.
that like embrace that in life. It's great. So I feel like that I'm really inspired by in like Gen Z as well.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful thing about Gen Z is that identity, you know, they always talk about how sexuality is fluid, gender is fluid, and I really feel that like Gen Z embraces like the permeability like and the like ever evolving nature of identity, you know? Like I think what's really powerful is like there are people who identify as one of these like queer identities. I learned a new term, GRSM, gender romantic sexual minorities. Like they identify under that umbrella. And then I love seeing people be like, actually, I realized that I'm this other thing instead. And so many people coming to their support and being like, yeah, that's a part of the process. Like it's not just like this is what I am, and like you said, like the box that I'm gonna live and die in. It's like this is what I identify as now, and that's valid, and that's what it is now. And then maybe I'll identify something else tomorrow, or in 4 years, or never again. You know, like it's.
But
like,
that is the truth. Like that is the truth of the thing.
yes,
It doesn't make it less true because it might be different later. It's just like
exactly.
that is the truth of identity in that moment. So yeah.
Yes. The truth is the fact that it's fluid. The truth is that it's ever shifting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's a really beautiful thing. Okay, this is going to be the last question, so I'm going to make sure that it's good. I'm going to scroll down.
Instagram lives, by the way.
What did you say?
So thank you for doing all these Instagram lives. They're awesome.
You know, I want our show to get renewed, and I learned that I got to put myself out there. If you know, it's that thing where it's like, what is it? What is it? Justice? What are you about to say? It's that thing where you know, they're like, you can't wait for someone to give it to you. You gotta go out and get it. I'm not normally a social media person, but I'm doing it for this because I love this show so much, and I really want the show to get renewed. So, okay, let's see. This is a good question, but I don't want this to be the last question because it's kind of sad. This is a not last question, but like we've talked about this with Zelda a little bit, but people are talking about like Jay getting his own episode, exploring Jay more. Do you want to say any words about that?
I would love it. I think Jay is so rich. I think Sid is such an amazing actor. I think there's so much more to mine there in terms of what the story is. I love his relationship with his friendship with Delilah.
Oh yeah,
and so pure. So yeah, I'm all over it. I love it.
Okay. That bought me enough time to not find a question, but I did find a submitted comment from Dash Barnz
Oh
that says,
no.
"Put your son in drag."
But why do I have to put you in drag? You want to be in drag? Go in drag. You want me to put you in drag in the show? Yes, obviously. Done.
Okay.
Barnes family.
Okay. Okay. So I I always have a problem with like ending these lives with like a really solid question, but this question, I guess I feel like you can answer this in a variety of ways. This says, "What's one thing?" Oh, this is what's one thing each of you would want to see in a potential second season. But I'm just gonna ask you, what's one thing that you potentially would want to see in a second season that we're defining now is not for sure. It's not permanent. This is not set in stone, but this is just something that you maybe are considering exploring in season 2, if it happens.
I mean, I think I feel so. Yeah, there's a couple things. I mean, I think I want to keep going down this mental health thing. I think that those like Riley's arc in particularly in that second block, I think there's a lot of meaningfulness there. I think that like I want to see I want us to keep going down that road because I feel like mental is such a big part of like what it is to
Right.
be a character, and I think with her character, I want to see that. I want to see more trans and non-binary among teenagers. Because I think it's fantastic that we have these trans actors who are in the show, and I think Anna like an amazing character. Like, I definitely see some more stuff with Anna too, just because I feel like uh, Nava is so incredible. I think that
Incredible. Yeah.
so and when you know also about like Nava and her like her life story, like the work that she has done with like Latinx trans youth, it is like it's pretty amazing. So I want to see that in there as well.
Okay.
And yeah, and obviously we know we're yeah. So all that, I think it'll be interesting, really interesting to see what happens with Greta now that she's starting to kind of claim her race identity and see where that goes. And I feel like that's something I've really got seen kind of explored before. So there's the thing is like in all this conversation about second season, and I just also want to say, by the way, like thank you to everybody who is out there creating noise. Like it matters. It really matters. And I feel like sometimes it's just like, I don't know, I'm sending a tweet or like I'm doing a DM or a post or whatever, but like it really does like just create this extra kind of conversation. And I think it it matters that and making sure people are actually watching on their TV. That's things count. But wait, how did I get on that Pat? Because like the second season, like I just feel like we're all really in love with these characters, and I think you said like at one point you're like, I am not ready to say goodbye to this
Yeah.
thing, and that always like that phrasing always stuck in my head. Like I just feel like these characters are so rich, and they've just gotten to this point where it's like we can go so there's so much that we can do because now we know who they are, we know their stories, we know their family structures, like there's some exposition out of the way, and now they just get to like be in this world and like and I love them like I don't know, just more than anything.
Me too. Me too. I don't think any of us are ready to say goodbye to this show. I think everyone here agrees with everything that you're saying. We've all connected to these characters. And I've said it 100 times. I really hope that we get a season 2. But these fans are putting in the fucking work.
They are.
And I am so grateful to them and everything that they've done for the show. I really feel like if we do get a season 2, it's because of how much noise you guys have made. You are really like you're doing the work. You're walking the walk. talking the talk and you're walking the walk. And
I really can't stress it enough. It's just like, because those like the DMs, the tweets, the things that like the read, the way that people like observe or connect or like talk about the thing is like, it is so, I just feel like there's just like this wave, and I'm like getting to like ride it with all of you, and it's really cool. I really thank you.
Yeah, seriously. Thank you guys. And that concludes our Instagram Live with Daniel Barnz, everyone. Woo! Yeah! Woo! So I am so grateful that you decided to do this with me, even though I know I asked you literally like 6 hours ago if you would do this.
So happy.
And I'm happy that you weren't busy and you could do this. And I'm sure that everyone in the live appreciates it. And I will be, for all of you guys out there, I will keep doing these lives. I'm going to talk to all the kids. I'm going to talk to Diego next, I think. Cooper, for Cooper fans. And I will be talking to Sydney, and I will be talking to Marcella, who plays Luce. So, and I'll be posting about him, so just stay tuned for that. Thank you again, Daniel. I love you so much. You know that.
You're amazing.
I can't wait to work together again.
Yes.
Bye, everyone. See you next time.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.